Founder of Codebots and Working Mouse, and I am here to show you something tech in 10 minutes. So that's my goal, because I just want to show you something tech, not overload you with too much information, but just show you something at the end. So I've got a video at the end that goes for about 2 minutes, which is going to be something tech, and we're just going to build up to that, and then we're going to watch the video. I'm going to hopefully catch up some time. All right, so meet Susan. Okay, Susan currently faces a problem. This is a problem that we've all faced at various times in our careers, and she's got a problem around documentation. Okay, hey Lou, how are you? Good to see you. Okay, so the problem around documentation. Okay, we all create these big repositories of information in a central approach, right? And eventually these big repositories of information end up with work in progress pages, blank pages, they end up with just things unfinished. We all know these repositories, don't we? We always start off with the best intentions with them, and eventually these documentation things end up in a terrible state. Right, so what we try to do with these big documentation repositories is we try to either decentralize. So we say, okay, you have your own repository and you go your direction that way. You have your own processes and documentation and you go your way, and so forth and so forth. And before you know it, within the company, everybody's doing their own thing. Is that a good thing? Maybe not. Right, the other approach is going more centralized, where you just have a central repository of information, which works to a point, but eventually that repository gets so big with information that no one knows how to change it. And it just sucks the innovation and life out of the company. Right, so we've got these two approaches: we decentralize or we centralize. Is there another way to actually approach this problem? Right, so I'm going to tell you about my 3 loves very, very quickly, and then we're going to go on to the demo at the end. The first one is called Joydoka, okay, which is loosely translates to automation with a human touch. Okay, this is something that came out of lean manufacturing. So this basically says the first time you need to do anything, let's just do it as we normally would using our hands. Yep. The next time we're going to do it, let's automate it. And if you keep following this approach in lean manufacturing, you end up with machines that do a lot of things. Okay, that's Joydoka. That's my first love. My second love is model-driven engineering. By recognizing everything is a model, okay, what we're actually able to do is we're able to bridge air gaps between documentation and this type of thing. So that's the second clue to embracing this. The third one is DevOps. Who here's heard of DevOps? Yes, DevOps will heal the world. I guarantee you. It has so much potential around DevOps. Okay, the cool thing about DevOps is it uses this thing called pipelines, and pipelines just help you to automate things. Okay, we want to automate as much as we can. So we want to apply Joydoka, so do it the first time ourselves manually, right? We want to use model to bridge those air gaps, and then we want to use DevOps to use the automation of the pipelines so we get repeatability. All right. Okay, video time. If we could, I snuck this video in here just before. They were very nice to put it in. Okay, here we go. Opening up a file here called a Markdown file. Hands up if you've used Markdown before. Markdown, if you have not used Markdown, start using it. Okay, so on the left is a text file, okay, and it's just got some headings and this type of thing, and you can see it just renders straight across. So putting 2 hashes like this gets you a second heading. You can do dot points, you can do all these sorts of cool things inside Markdown. Okay, Markdown is a beautiful format. Get rid of Word and all those other things. Just start using Markdown. Now, in this particular demo, I'm just going to come over here and have a look. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a code generator, and at this point, I'm going to generate the Markdown file using a little script, and it's going to pump out the actual Markdown here. So I've done the actual Markdown myself the first time, but as you can see now, after I've generated, all that extra work I've done has actually disappeared. Yep, that's not good. So this is the trick you want to use. Use what's called a protected region. Inside a protected region, I can add in my own information into the documentation repository. I can add things in. I can write whatever I want into a protected region. Now, the next time I run the code generator over the top, you can see everything inside the protected region is reserved. Now, as simple as that might sound, okay, what we're actually doing is we're venturing into the actual realms of having control over the repository. So what we're able to do is we're able to have someone add in the control inside the repository, then we're able to use a code generator to allow people to add their individual what would you call it? Their individual, what's the word I'm looking for? Help me out, Dave. Contribution, well done. Add their individual contribution into the actual Markdown files. So what we're actually doing there is we're having a different approach on how to actually work between a centralized and a decentralized approach. Now, we apply this methodology to software engineering, not just documentation repositories, and we build bots that write hundreds of thousands of lines of code and save software teams a huge amount of time and cost for businesses. Thank you.